So you're in the process of buying a home, or you're thinking about buying a home. Have you thought about the 5 red flags that you need to look for when you're buying a house? Stand by today, and I'm going to show you those 5 red flags that you need to look out for to make sure that you're safe. Hey, it's Eric Hudson, real estate agent in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm here to talk to you about the 5 red flags to look for when buying a home. And if you like the content that you're seeing today, do me a favor, subscribe, hit that like button, and of course, hit that notification bell. So next time around, you'll get to see some more of these great videos. I put at least 2 videos out every week, helpful for you in your real estate journey. So, buying a home is a very emotional journey. And there are a lot of red flags out there and a lot of things that you can trip over. So let's start going through some of the things that can happen in your real estate journey that can derail you. So the number one thing that you need to think about is the other agent. So, if you're doing the right thing, you have your own agent to help you out when you're buying a home. But what about the other agent? Well, sometimes a seller may use their relative. Well, you may think that's a good thing. If you're a buyer, wouldn't you want to use the person you trust the most? When the seller is using their relative as their agent, well, of course, the seller's agent is supposed to be loyal to them. But now you've added the additional layer of a family member. And that family member may go above and beyond to protect and to get a great deal for their family member, which means family first, which means you're not only second, third, fourth, or fifth down the line, there's a chance they may not look out for your best interest. Now, one of the things as a professional, a real estate professional, we're supposed to look out for everyone's best interest. Sometimes that can go out the window when you're trying to deal with family. I'm sure you understand that. And it's an unfortunate fact. So if that agent is a relative of that seller, or just as well, what if the agent is the seller? It's possible that agent could do a lot of self-dealing for themselves or their relative. So these are red flags to look out for to make sure that you protect yourself. It doesn't mean that they're going to, it just means you need to watch your back. So make sure that you and your agent will be watching your back to make sure that you're protected, okay? The next issue is, what if the seller has to sell this home in order to buy the next home? Well, that creates a whole ball of wax, whole new set of circumstances. Unless they're buying a new build, it can create a lot of issues for you, where they can try to compress your timelines to meet their timelines for the next home. So what are those timelines? You need to find that out and see, does it affect you? Remember, you're purchasing this home and you don't need to be jerked around by someone when they say, okay, my next home's not going to be available, so I need to stay an extra month. You need to know that ahead of time, because you don't want to be a part of some daisy chain. And are they under that new contract? Are they going to try to do this now that I have an offer on this house? I'm now going to go find a house. Oh, I haven't found what I want. I need to slip this sum. You need to know that you're going to be able to move into this house. So find that out. Your agent should be doing that for you. You also need to find out, are they planning on moving out of the house at the end of the escrow period? Are they trying to stay an additional amount of time? Is this something that's going to come up later? Ask these questions. You need to make sure that you're going to be taking possession of a home and that you're not going to have someone you got to kick out later. You don't want to have to deal with that. You don't want to become a renter. And worst of all is the seller who wants to stay in the house without paying rent. They don't feel it's fair that they should pay rent for the house they used to own. It's like, I owned this house. Guess what? You're paying the mortgage on the house. Why shouldn't they pay rent? And I've heard this one before. Well, they don't pay the mortgage for the first month, so it seems like I should be able to stay for that extra month. Um, I have some bad news for you. It's good news at the same time. Those closing costs that you pay when you buy a home, that's part of it that pays for that month that you're not paying. So, yeah, you don't pay mortgage for your first month and sometimes two, but those were your closing costs. So it's kind of like if you were to rent a place and, you had to pay, first month's rent. Yeah, you didn't pay first month's, but you paid first month's rent. You kind of get it. So it's a spurious argument. So be very careful. There are going to be some sellers who are going to come up with stuff like that. So be very careful of the seller who has to purchase another home. Your next red flag, disclosures. Now, here in the state of Nevada, I'm not sure what state you're in, we have a lot of disclosures where the seller is responsible for telling you what they know about the home. Okay, great. They're telling you what they know about the home. But they have to be truthful. So when you start going around and you see stuff that's obvious that they didn't put in there, why? Did they just pencil whip it? Do they not care? Are they trying to hide stuff? Do they do a lot of DIY projects? Do it yourself? Do they do the plumbing themselves? Do they do stuff that required a permit that they didn't get that permit for? Did they have someone they called on Craigslist to do the work and they didn't do the permitted work either, and they didn't have licenses to do the work? These are things you need to check for, because I'm going to be very honest. Here in the Las Vegas area, a lot of work's not done with permit. A lot of work's not done by licensed people. It just happens, okay? So make sure that those disclosures are there and that they are complete. They're not being pencil whipped or anything. You got to protect yourself because nobody else is. So make sure that your agent and yourself are going through those, because there's one small problem on the other end. Even though they may have an agent, their agent by law is not allowed to help them fill that out. They may review it, but they can't help them fill it out. So that creates a small little issue. So make sure that's done. And also, get that home inspection. I don't know how many videos I have to do on the home inspection. It is so important that it's done. So much stuff will be found. I have yet to see a home inspection where stuff isn't found. Now, with that, don't go nuts on the home inspection. Everything, stuff is going to be found. Look for the big stuff, especially the plumbing, construction defect. Here's one that's really funny. Doing an inspection and the inspector was talking about the fire damage. We're like, fire damage? Yeah, there was a fire above the kitchen. And you could tell, and he went through all the stuff. And so we contact the selling side, and they're like, what fire damage? So they didn't even know, and their inspector didn't catch it, and the inspector before that didn't catch it. So, yeah, I have a question, and this is the question my inspector had. Was the work done properly? So somewhere in that line, someone didn't disclose that there was a fire. Oh no! Next red flag, a seller who's just a hardball, hard-nosed individual, no give and take, my way or the highway. Be wary of those individuals. And to the sellers, a buyer who is hard-nosed, my way or the highway. There is give and take in real estate. If someone needs an extra 5 days, they may need an extra 5 days. if they're doing it because they're, I don't want to use the term on here, crap testing, I'll use that, then see what they're doing. There's also a thing where people like to just like nibble at you and just nibble. When I took negotiations, whenever someone who is a nibbler, who's always like just nibbling away to see what they can get away with, always come back with something. So when the seller wants to nibble at you, nibble back. Make sure that you go after these people who won't say, who won't give an inch, because be careful of people who do that, because you don't know what they're going to do and what they're capable of. I don't care how good the market is, you have to give an inch. And the final thing, this is a good red flag to think about. Why are they deviating so much from a boilerplate contract? Why are there so many addendums? Now, I see this a lot with the flippers, where they just automatically have an addendum that's already prepared with all kinds of things to relieve them of everything in the contract. Matter of fact, I had an addendum that it's like they hadn't even thought about it. My buyer had actually offered above list price because they wanted the house. The addendum came back and among all the things said that they would pay list price. I'm sitting there like, are you stupid? They offered you more. This is coming back saying they have to pay the list price. Man, you stupid. So anyway, yeah, but all within there, they put in all the stuff that waived all of, the buyer protection in the contract. So maybe to them that was worth it. So these are things you have to watch out for, especially because these things are drawn up by lawyers, because the contract is actually designed to help the buyer for the purchase agreement, and those addendums and counteroffers and everything that are pre-boilerplate like that from these big flippers, they went to an attorney, and that attorney went, this is the best way for you to be able to protect yourself 100%, and pound it to somebody else. And you're that person they're going to pound it to if you're the buyer. So especially if you're looking at the flip properties, I know people love those flip properties because everything's been done. See my video on, wait a minute, maybe we should link it. So look down below. See the video I did on flip properties and buying a pig and a poke? Yeah. They're not what you think they are a lot of times. There's a lot of stuff back there. So these are the red flags you need to look out for. And if you have any questions, just go ahead, reach out, text me, and I'm more than glad to help you out with anything, especially in your buying decisions. My name's Eric Hudson again, here in Las Vegas, and I'm out.